Welcome to episode 43 of ECTEL Bytes. The show is a production of the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority, and I'm your host, Coretta Crooks-Charles, ECTEL's Communications and Media Relations Manager. Thank you so much for joining us. The Caribbean Association of National Telecommunications Organization, or CANTO, is getting set to host its 41st annual conference and trade exhibition in the Dominican Republic from August 9th to the 12th. This flagship event provides a platform where leaders, innovators, and changemakers unite to shape the region's digital future. To tell us more about what's on the agenda and the significance of this event in driving digital transformation in the region, joining us for the very first time on ECTEL Bytes is Mr. Charles Douglas, Vice Chair of the Board of Directors of CANTO. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you so much for your kind welcome, Coretta.
And it's okay for me to call you Charles, correct?
It is totally fine.
All right, so we have a lot to talk about, so we're going to go right into it. How long have you been serving on the board of directors of CANTO, and what does your role entail as vice chair?
I was appointed to the board of directors in 2024 and started to serve as vice chair in January 2025. And along with my other directors, my role focuses on governance of the organization and strategic oversight, and really supporting the organization's mission to foster growth and the development of the ICT sector and telecommunications and just the ICT ecosystem, and ensuring that CANTO continues to be that platform that brings together the ecosystem and allows it to flourish.
Okay, and I mean, you've been around for 41 years, so that's quite a long time. So you guys are doing something right.
I agree entirely, and we have the support from the members.
Okay, all right. So this year's theme for CANTO is Elevate the Caribbean, from connectivity to global competitiveness. What does it mean for the Caribbean to move beyond connectivity and become globally competitive in the digital age?
That's a really deep question, because as you have intimated, for many, many years we focused on connectivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Homes passed, what levels of penetration, what is international connectivity like? And I'm happy to say that the industry has made huge progress over the past 2 decades. And so connectivity is no longer the finish line, right? It's really the start. Where we need to get to is competitiveness, global competitiveness. And what does this mean, right? It means that how are we using the connectivity that we've already built and that we will build? Are we using it to increase productivity, which is what is required? Are our businesses and people able to compete internationally? Can we create high-value jobs for our youth and leverage artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cybersecurity, fintech, and other data analytical opportunities? That's where we need to focus, and that's why the focus is on making the Caribbean competitive, not just connecting it.
Right. Because without that competitiveness, Charles, we're going to stay behind. So I do agree and understand where you're coming from.
Correct. So the connectivity remains important, but it's the end product, right? It's how it's impacting lives. It's what's it being used for. We need to focus more, and we're competing on the global stage. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So over the years, the region has made significant strides in expanding connectivity. What indicator should we now be looking at to determine whether we're truly translating connectivity into economic growth and innovation?
We need to make sure we measure the right things. We need to measure not just the inputs, but we need to measure the outputs, because that's where we will know if the transformation is taking place, if people's lives are being improved. So For example, we need to measure growth of the digital economy as a percentage of GDP. We need to look at small, medium enterprise and medium enterprises and see the level at which they are adopting technology. We need to look to see if there are gaps in the workforce. What digital skills are there? What is the level of the AI readiness for organizations? Do they have good data? Do they have good structures? Do they have a cybersecurity policy and the ability to protect private information, as well as just we can look at government services. What's the extent to which government services are digitized? If you want a marriage license, if you want your driver's license, if you want a passport, when you're doing transactions with the government, is it all digital or is it still a lot of analog processes? So, yep, we've built the networks, but now can we look at measure those services and it will tell us, okay, we have the technology, we have the networks, but what do we need to change to get the results and the productivity? So those are some of the things. And not just measure homes passed or network speeds or, the level of penetration in the country or the technology available. Those things are fine, but it's not enough.
Okay, thanks, Charles. So many Caribbean countries are consumers of technology rather than creators of it. What needs to happen for the region to become a stronger producer of digital solutions and innovation?
That's a interesting one. First, I must say that it's one of the most strategic questions that we face in the Caribbean. And also that we have to use the technology that exists. So we're all for that. However, we have the talent, we have the creativity, we have the intellectual capital in the Caribbean, and we need to figure out now, as we consume technology that is used elsewhere to be more productive, how do we ensure that now we participate and help shape what that ecosystem looks like? And I think, Carita, you'll agree, would start with education, right?
Yeah.
We have to ensure that our educational institutions are preparing our young people for the future, for the workforce of the future. So academic institutions have a role. So if we don't want a mismatch between how they are trained and the graduates that we're putting out with the skills that are needed, because we won't be able to deliver our own entrepreneurial and innovative capacity. So the subjects we teach in school, maybe primary school, high school, or secondary school, whatever, we need to make sure that those subjects, the manner in which we are delivering them, uses of technology, so students are comfortable. The content, are they learning coding skills? Are they learning, AI literate? Are they developing cybersecurity expertise? That also needs to be built in and offered within our educational institutions. It's very important because, as you know, many of our older citizens can adapt, but it's the young people that's really going to drive it, right? They're the real assets that are going to make that transformation. And then now, besides just preparing the human capital, there will also need better access to capital and funding for brilliant ideas, for new ventures by our institution, by our banking institutions and commercial institutions, in order to enable us now to build new things, take risks. Some will fail, but many will also succeed. And this is what's going to get up that innovation curve, and we'll be able to output to the world. And there are niches in which we're already doing that in the Caribbean, right? We've designed applications and so on that other persons in the world are using. However, we want to scale that up more and make it a common thing and not by exception.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Charles. So no single organization or industry can drive digital transformation alone. What role do partnerships among the governments, regulators, operators, academia, and the private sector play in achieving the conference's vision of global competitiveness?
It has everything to do about partnerships. I mean, given our size in the Caribbean, the size of our economies, countries, maybe all told, we're like 40, over 40 million people. We have to collaborate to scale and to drive digital transformation. Otherwise, it's going to be very fragmented. And let me give you a sort of breakdown of it, right? So if you look at the stakeholders that we've mentioned already, let's just go back to them. We have governments, we have the regulators, we have the telecommunications operators, we have academia, and then we have development institutions. And with the telecommunications operators, you have other vendors and ICT software developers, right? So the government first has to create the right national priority and policy direction. If we get that wrong, it sets us back. Once the government does that, then the next is for the regulators to take that policy direction and create now legal and regulatory frameworks that will invite investment and innovation into the sector.
Okay.
When the regulators get that right, what happens next is that the operators, the telcos and other ICT investors, know they will invest, right, tens of millions of US dollars in the sectors in the region in order to monetize the opportunity. So they'll build the critical infrastructure. So you realize so far it's a chain reaction. And then now, having built the infrastructure and the industry, academia needs to provide a talent to continue to support that industry.
Right.
To lead it, the managers, the CEOs, the staff, the technicians, the technical people, in order to continue to fuel that. We don't want to have a skills gap. We don't want to necessarily have to be always importing talent. Yeah, expatriates have their role, but we don't also always want to be importing talent into the sector. And finally, no, all of this has to be funded by development banks and different institutions that have to make the capital available. So it's important. So at CANTO, we pride ourselves on getting everybody into the same room. The tagline is one room, one region.
Yes.
We get all the different players into the room, and then we try to identify the solutions and make them become a reality.
I'm glad you mentioned the tagline, the one room, one region. And I think I was on your IG page where it was saying that it's not just about the telcos, but health relies on telecoms, the various sectors, education. And I quite like how you're trying to involve everybody in the process and broaden the conversation.
Yeah, because if you think of it, you're so right, Carita. Because if you think of it, right, digital transformation is end to end, right?
Yes.
I mean, telecommunications is not a standalone thing anymore, right? It's just an input like electricity, like water, right? That goes through industry to produce results, right? So you're right. Yeah. We're all in it together.
Right. All right. So, Charles, we're at the start of another hurricane season, and Jamaica, where you're based, has already experienced firsthand the impact that severe weather can have on critical infrastructure. Hurricane Melissa affected roads, water systems, energy facilities, and telecommunications services, among other areas. So will CANTO 2026 provide a platform for stakeholders to discuss practical strategies and innovative solutions to help the Caribbean build more resilient networks and better prepare for increasingly intense weather events?
The short answer is yes.
Good.
And we must.
Right.
I mean, it's sad to sort of remember what we went through in Melissa, right? Category 5, I think the highest, harshest hurricane registered, right? Recorded in history. We have no choice, right? We are in a vulnerable region. We will have more hurricanes. They will be more intense. Happily, so far, I think the forecast for this year is that we'll have less hurricanes than last year, but doesn't mean that we won't get one, and it doesn't mean that it won't be intense.
Yeah.
So yeah, the program, the conference will focus on that. Infrastructure resilience is critical. It will focus on that. What do we build? How do we build differently? And if we build similarly, how do we restore faster? Because you can't put everything underground, for example, and we put a lot of the network underground for critical infrastructure and critical areas. But it's not affordable to do everything. So some things we'll have to rebuild. But then what's the business continuity plan? What's the emergency response? How is it coordinated? In Jamaica, fortunately, we were coordinated between all the telcos, with the Water Commission, with the Jamaica Electricity Company, and so on. You need complete coordination from the ports, with customs, with the government, with the police, with the your army. It needs end-to-end coordination, and that kind of knowledge we have, and the discussions will relate on how we can leverage that and we can share that, what redundancy strategies we have. For example, one thing we used in Jamaica was, we used Starlink as the backup for direct to cell in areas where the physical network was decimated and people were just cut off and couldn't have any connection. And they were able to, upward of 200,000 people were able to remain connected, sending texts to their families. Yes, we're safe, or yes, we have a need. This is what is happening. And it made a huge, huge difference. As you can appreciate, the resilience of the telecommunication system and the electricity system it touched on everything, as you said, right? ATMs couldn't work. The financial sector, the health sector, hospitals couldn't work. So they had to be powered by backup technology. So everything gets touched. We can't help but look at it. And our view in CANTO is these challenges provide us opportunity, because then we could use our unique knowledge and experience, our lived reality, to come up with solutions. Other parts of the world don't experience what we experience in the Caribbean, to solve the problems and touch on the different aspects. So we're really, really optimistic, very optimistic, that these discussions will lead to solutions and results and partnerships that could last long into the future.
Okay, no, thanks for that, Charles. And I heard about the Jamaica story where the various sectors, work together to get it done. But is this written anywhere, for example? So if another country in the Eastern Caribbean were to experience what Jamaica experienced, could you reach out to Flow or Digicel in Jamaica, or the energy facility or water system, the water company, to find out, is there something written that you could share so that others could implement if the situation is similar?
That's an excellent, excellent question. And I think it's not written yet. And I think CANTO should take that on board and to write that playbook, to consolidate that playbook so that it's available to the region. I think that would be a fantastic contribution. What I can say, however, is that anyone should feel free to reach out to the CANTO Secretariat for the support that we provided. And as members, whether it be Flow, Digicel, Alive, APUA, we would be more than willing to share that. In our organization, we do have a established critical committee in CANTO, which is a business continuity committee, and as a sort of CSR as well, and ECG. We have other committees. So it's part of what we do. It's part of the value that we want to deliver to the members. And yeah, we need to compile that story and codify it in a book,
Yes,
or in a document to share, but not yet done. But we'll work on it. But we still stand ready to share the expertise, because we are an alliance or a coalition of organizations, strong membership, strong unity, and we would make that information available.
Okay, awesome. Good
So
to
reach
hear.
out directly to us or go to the secretariat and we will partner.
All right. Thanks, Charles. So what are the risks for Caribbean countries, if we fail to keep pace with global digital trends and technological advancements?
I think we all can agree that we'll continue to be left more and more behind, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of great things about the Caribbean. In its academics, its sports, culture, music, lots of world-class things that we produce. But generally speaking, from a digital transformation point of view, we're lagging behind more advanced countries. I don't think that's up for debate. If we don't keep up, we'll just get further left behind. We'll become more fragmented. Some countries will do better than others. Some companies will do better than others, but we're so fragmented, we won't have the scale to move the region as a whole to be really competitive. So that's something we really want to avoid. We want to not have the gaps, skill gaps of infrastructure and technology and workforce, because if we have them, we won't get the investments, right?
Right.
And you know that to invest in the ecosystem is billions and billions of dollars to build network, to build subsea, to build out, to roll out networks. It takes investment. So the climate needs to be ready. The policy position needs to be attractive. The talent pool needs to be developed. And just that unity and synergy to scale also needs to be there. So we have to keep up, Greta. If we don't, obviously we are resilient and we'll keep working at it. It's just going to slow us down, causing inordinate delay to our development, and that's not a good option. It's not a good option at all.
Okay. All right. For someone who has never attended CANTO or the CANTO conference before, what unique value can they expect to gain from this year's event in Punta Cana?
Wow. A lot of
Tell me on it, because I've never been. So
a
why would someone
lot
like me
of
come?
value. And our tagline, I'll start with our tagline, right? One room, one region. It's a melting pot of the most diverse set of talent involving policymakers, political leadership, CEOs, technical expertise from vendors to software developers, and we could go on. Where we are expecting like 1,200 participants.
Wow.
It's well supported by our political leadership. We expect no less than maybe 15 ICT ministers, along with a number of prime ministers to attend, and they've traditionally attended. It's the opportunity to network. It's the opportunity to hear what's current, hear what's changing, and also be a part of the conversation to have the solutions. And I want to just put this out there. If you want to come, if you are coming to CANTO and you would like to meet with different players, speak to the secretariat, let them know the persons you'd like to meet with so that they could try and arrange those meetings, get you on a schedule, so that you can maximize your attendance and your opportunity, because there are a lot of meetings that take place that lead into partnerships and solutions and insights. Because people, you may be coming for different reasons, right? You may be coming to identify potential customers. There's that opportunity. You may be coming to engage with specific policymakers. That's your opportunity. Or to explore a partnership to deliver on a product or service. That's an opportunity. Or there's an exhibition hall to showcase solutions. So you are also bringing solutions to the membership and to the attendees. That's an opportunity, as well as to just understand what are the region's digital transformation priorities. You hear from different leaders, different stakeholders, different countries, so that you can know where you want to make your mark. So for somebody who is new, please make the arrangements to attend. Reach out to the secretariat, tell them what you would like to participate in or the folks you would like to meet, and we'll create that value for you. You will not be disappointed.
Just to add, Charles, I've gone onto your website and I noticed you have a list of attendees. So that would be really useful too, based on what you just said, for persons to see who will be attending and who they'd want to meet up with. That information is already there for persons who've registered.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Yeah. So on the flip side, for repeat CANTO goers, why should they come? If they've been to like 10 of these things already, what will be different this year for persons who've already been there before?
New speakers, new perspectives, new insights, new lens to which we see the industry.
Okay, all right.
The telco framework that exists is changing quickly. Many of the areas that we have to confront now, there are either very little regulations, we don't understand them, and we're trying to find our way. And what do I mean? We can say that about AI, right?
Yeah.
What should governance look like? What's happening? What should that conversation be? We can say that about cybersecurity. We can say it about fintech. We can say it about digital trust and digital sovereignty, resilience that we just spoke about. See, in other words, we are on the cusp of a really new wave of technological advancement and the way we do things that needs to be discussed. We haven't all solved what the regulatory frameworks should be or the new laws or what opportunities to facilitate investment. And so, if you are a long-time attendee of CANTO, we expect you to bring your A game, to add the value to these conversations, and to point us in the future. It's all for the taking.
All right. Love that response, Charles. So where can interested persons go to learn more about CANTO and how to register?
They may go to our website, www.canto.org or canto.org, and they'll find all the information about the conference, and they'll be able to register and the discounts for hotels and so on. Of course, we are present on Facebook. So if you want to follow for updates and speaker announcements and industry insights, then we're going to ask you to go to our Facebook or LinkedIn, or Instagram page, as well as YouTube, and just search for CANTO Caribbean. You will see that my conserving of electricity in my lighting in my office, it keeps going off because there's no movement. It's a little dark now. So you can go to our social media and type in CANTO Caribbean, you'll find us. You can go to our website. And here's an interesting one, Carita. If you want to contact the Secretariat directly, you can send an email to their inbox, which is canto@canto.org, and you can request to be added to our mailing list, and we'll provide more information. We'll send out more information to you.
All right. Awesome. Any closing remarks, Charles, as we get ready to wrap up?
No, I would just say that CANTO needs your support. CANTO has a fantastic legacy. It has an opportunity to play a critical role in the future. And so we want to be as inclusive as possible. We invite more members to join. You can contact the Secretariat to find out how you can be a member of CANTO or an associate member of CANTO, and how you can participate in our working groups, and as well as in our conferences, if as the case may be, to really move the sector forward. I also want to say, Carita, that look, it has been an absolute pleasure to be on ECTEL Bytes. ECTEL plays its own unique role as in the Caribbean as a convener of ICT players, and also to foster the development across the ECTEL region, the 5 markets that you oversee. And we can relate. You play a really outsized role in OCOR, which is the organization of regulators, which we in CANTO partner with and want to deepen our alliance with. So we're all working for the same thing. Yeah. And again, it was just a pleasure to be invited to be on your podcast. And I trust that listeners found what we discussed helpful.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for that, Charles. So before I actually let you go, I'm going to go into the rapid fire segment. So don't overthink your answers. If something throws you, that's perfectly fine. It's just about having a bit of fun before we leave. All right, ready? What's the first app you check in the morning?
Oh, that's my WhatsApp, no doubt.
Okay.
Live on WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? Okay. So if you could instantly solve one challenge facing the Caribbean, what would it be?
Unity and trust. We need to trust each other more.
Mm-hmm.
That would be it.
Okay.
Unity. I don't know if I cheated, right? But unity by trusting each other more.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sounds good. One leader in tech or business you'd love to have dinner with?
Wow, that's a crazy one. Hmm. That's a really, really tough one for
All right.
me.
Okay.
Never
You,
thought
you
about
can
it.
you can come back to it
Um,
at the end if you want.
yes.
What's one word you hope attendees would take away from the CANTO conference? One word.
Insightful.
All right. And this one was not mine, Charles, but I'm going to put it out there. Who was your best boss ever?
You know, um, that's a really tough one. What I can say, um, unequivocally is that the current managing director of ECTEL has been instrumental in my development and growth as a professional and as a person, and was a standout leader that I had. How did I do?
Well, I'll ask him. I'm sure you knew who asked me to put that in there. So,
I know, I know.
okay, awesome. Do you want to go back to the one about who you'd love to have dinner with from the tech industry? Or that's
Yeah,
okay.
so
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
really hard to say, but the CEO of Navida, Navida, his name is slipping me right now,
Mhm.
but they're making all the sort of um AI chips and GPUs and so on. I think that he's somebody I would love to pick his mind, but his name is just slipping me right now. But I would say that the industry has kind of moved on from the Bill Gates and the Steve
Mhm.
Jobs and those types. No, it's all about AI, and
Mhm.
there are a lot of leaders in that space. And if I had to choose, never thought about it, but I'd probably choose one of them.
All right. And one final one. If Canto had a theme song, Charles, what would it be? A theme song.
Now that's hard. Um,
Don't overthink.
Never give up. I would say never give up.
Never give up.
Never give up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. That was our rapid fire segment. You did really well. So thank you, Charles, for being our guest on episode 43 of ECTEL Bytes. We wish Canto a highly successful conference and hope that every participant leaves with valuable insights and tangible actions that they can implement within their organizations. Because together, these efforts can help drive innovation, strengthen our region's competitiveness, and ultimately improve outcomes for consumers across the Caribbean. In case you joined us late, our special guest was Mr. Charles Douglas, Vice Chair of the Board of Directors of CANTO. And if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below and we'll be happy to reply. Apart from being on our Facebook page, this recording of ECTEL Bytes will also be on our YouTube channel, which is at ECTEL, and on Instagram, LinkedIn, and X at ECTEL Authority, and of course, on our website, www.ectel.int. So please be sure to share it with your contacts who may not be on social media. That's it for episode 43 of ECTEL Bytes. I'm your host, Coretta Crooks-Charles, ECTEL's Communications and Media Relations Manager. Until next time, do take care and keep safe.